And welcome here to Campbelltown Stadium here on Dharawal land as Macarthur FC hosts the Central Coast Mariners. You can see both sides on the Isuzu Ute tunnel cam. The Mariners have had the additional challenges of the AFC Cup competition, but it certainly hasn't hindered them or the Bulls this season. You could argue it's taken both of them to another level. The Mariners have marched back into the premiership race after just one loss in their last 15 league matches. A win today and they can go top. It's been a run which has been both breathtaking and ruthless in its efficiency on the back of 3 straight 1-0 wins in the A-League. But the Bulls do know how to break them down. They've been the only side to do so in the last month, and they'll be counting on that knowledge and their fire in the belly after that heartbreaking defeat last month. The mascots on the field as part of the Bulls grassroots round, and this is how their side will line up. Miles Stajovski making just a single change from the side that beat Melbourne City at home last Friday. Yanni Nicolau makes his first league start since January after getting over a slight calf niggle. So Keely Adamson drops to the bench, fresh off selection in the Ollie Roos squad for the West Asian Football Federation Under-23 Championship. Jake Holman will play in midfield, and Danny De Silva, he could return for the first time since December off the bench from that hamstring injury. Speaking of players impressing for the Bulls, Bernardo keeps out Jed Drew once again this week. He scored a double in that win last week over Melbourne City. His second brace of the season against the side from Victoria, his first coming with his former employer, Adelaide United. For the Mariners, a couple of changes for Mark Jackson from the side who did the business 4-0 against Odisha on Thursday. Englishman Ryan Edmondson returns up front with Jing Reese making way, while Brazilian Ronald Barcelos returns from suspension to come into the side on the right edge. That pushes Mikhail Docker to right back and Storm Rue out of the matchday squad. Harry Steele is on the bench this afternoon, who may come face-to-face with his foe Valère Germain after their infamous post-AFC Cup fracas. Well, the Mariners, they're one of the most combative teams this season. You can certainly see why Jacob Farrell, Angel Torres up the top of Jules 1 this season. It's quite a gap, isn't it? Back to Joe Lolly, even Zinedine Mashash. Farrell rewarded for his impressive performances with a spot in the Ollie Roos squad heading to Saudi Arabia this week, and the fans certainly love him. A coastie through and through from Wyoming FC. Well, it's been one of the biggest breaks between matches for Macarthur outside of an international window. So for Miles Stajovski and his coaching staff this week, some more tough conditioning sessions in training. And for Mark Jackson, well, what about his record? 4 straight losses to begin the league season. Now he's got the highest win percentage of any Mariners head coach in the A-League, even though it is a somewhat smaller sample size than Graham Arnold's 52% winning record from 98 matches. Daniel Elder in charge of this one, 92nd A-League men's match. And we're just about ready to go here at Campbelltown Stadium. Macarthur's grassroots round as part of the A-League's Pride celebration round. The Bulls desperate to close the gap on the Mariners and keep their top 2 hopes alive. A loss and that gap is going to only widen to the Mariners and the Knicks. So the Mariners chasing down top spot on the table with a win against a Bulls side striding towards their highest finish in A-League history. And it's great to have the company of Andy Harper. Harps, how do the Bulls go about sinking this relentless Mariners side?
Well, they'll have to do better than anyone else in the comp at the moment, apart from Sydney a few weeks ago. They really are on a fabulous roll, the Central Coast. And as you've already made the reference, Ben, they surely stung from the dramatic exit from the AFC Cup. What a fabulous game that was here a couple of weeks ago on an incredibly difficult Thursday night weather-wise. much more forgiving conditions here today for Macarthur at home to try and get one back on the Mariners.
And important to note as well, the Mariners, they've been keeping clean sheets left, right and centre. Macarthur, the only side in that last month that have scored against them. So that has to give the Bulls some confidence heading into this one. A Bulls side with the best attack in the league coming into this round of football. 37 goals. And a double for this man, Bernardo, last week against Melbourne City. This is the Olyrood Jake Holman. No doubt he'll have his sights set on the Olympics. There are some players in Tony Vidmar's squad that may yet be selected that are playing for European clubs at the moment, Harp. So it's going to be a really tough battle to make that final squad for the Olympic qualifiers. But Holman's certainly doing his chances no harm as Voyitz's delivery knocked away by Caltac.
Yes, you can only be impressed by how Jake Holman is building his career. He's become a regular starter here at Macarthur and doing very, very well, consolidated his place. And lack of availability for one reason or another of other midfielders, injuries, suspensions, etc., has provided that opportunity. And there are very few players on planet Earth who don't need openings like that to build the early stages of their career, and it's up to the player then to make the most of it. You'd have to say Jake Holman is certainly doing that. He's been fabulous.
And just saw the other player in this match who was selected for the Olyroos in Jacob Farrell. We spoke about how combative he is as a player, giving away a foul there. And it's just everything you want in a player playing for your local side. Something to aspire to. You see him progress all the way up Central Coast into the side. A local there, just giving hope for all those other Mariners juniors that there is a pathway to this side. And gee, they're having another wonderful season, the Central Coast.
And to the national teams. Jacob Farrell's in that mix for the Olyroos. And it's great for the kids of the Central Coast, a sprawling area, to see that you can go all the way from your local club into the Mariners and then into national teams. And there haven't been many coasties who've been able to boast that sort of career trajectory over time. There have been some notable exceptions to that, of course.
Brad Tapp, another who's worked his way into this Mariners side. 6th league start of the season in 9 matches. Played his junior football in Sydney, Baulkham Hills, and now Caltac. Ballard. I just saw out of the corner of his eye that run from Angel Torres, but just overhit the ball.
Just way too straight. Not even former Mariner, if I can call him that, Usain Bolt would have got that one.
He did score at this ground, Harps. I think he scored a double, didn't he? Against a Macarthur side before they came into the competition. And that'll be our last reference in this match. Miles Stajowski, he's a former Mariner. Played in their grand final win. Alongside Channel 10's very own Daniel McBrain. Now coaching against them. Did get that win earlier in the season, Macarthur, over the Mariners. Round 2 it was, 2-1. It feels like an age ago now. And that was the part of the season where the Mariners were really struggling in the league. Barcelos going with the outside of the boot. Now Holman nips in, but the Brazilians won it back for the Mariners. Trying to link with Torres and just left it a little short.
Yeah, came up short twice actually to try and get the ball to Angel Torres. Did Barcelos. A little bit blustery at times here, the ball bouncing around. Players just a little bit of difficulty in controlling the ball when that wind does gust. Jake Holman just losing touch a second or two ago.
Mikael Docker, he's been in wonderful form lately. Turns for you to left and right. Now it's Ballard. Here's a shot from Farrell, deflected almost in front of Edmondson.
Who was just a fraction late to react to that. Edmondson, it was a nice hit from Jacob Farrell, a appeared off the boot to be something of concern for Philip Curto. And you just saw there the hesitancy from Edmondson, of course, might then have been adjudged to have been offside.
4 goals, a couple of assists in his last 5 matches. Mikhail Docker, who's been playing at right back, he's been playing further up the ground as well. It's been most impressive, and I asked Mark Jackson about the patience that they've shown with him, and they said they knew it was going to be tough for him coming to a new competition, a new country, and with the change of coach as well, because initially signed under Nick Montgomery. And they've been patient, they've persisted, and they've been rewarded, the Mariners. Dan Hall finding Docker. Barcelus hasn't been the greatest start from him. He's given it away in an area which allowed Lewis to try and release German. Valair will be public enemy #1 when it comes to the Mariners fans on the far side of the field after that blow-up after the AFC Cup. Mikhail Docker shifts it into Nisbet. Josh Nisbet has done it again. It's a carbon copy of last week against Newcastle. He's got 2 in 2 A-League matches, and the Mariners, they lead 1-0 again.
Well, talk about a player whose star just continues to rise. In the Harvey Norman replay, Josh Nisbet continues to add goals to the resume. This was a very, very clever finish. Docker prominent again. A nice switch out to Docker. Great turn on that touch. It was beautiful technique, this, from Josh Nisbet, to turn and touch in the same motion and then to pick that spot and get past Philip Curto, whose recent form has been outstanding. Just highlights again the quality of Josh Nisbet, now adding goals to his general performances, which is making him quite the proposition.
He's played every minute bar half an hour this season. I think he was given a rest for the final half hour of one of their AFC Cup matches. It is most impressive what Josh Nisbet is doing this season. The Mariners just irresistible at the moment. I'll be hoping for some more here with their tails up as Torres look to find Nisbet. Raphael, neat bit of trickery down the right, but then Caltech came across and stopped him immediately.
He's in a purple patch at the moment too, Raphael. Scored a couple of nice goals, important goals recently, and he's really growing into his football body, I can put it that way. Very, very dangerous, playing down the right flank. His junior teammate Bernardo on the left.
Davila, important win. Barcelus, well, he'll be lucky not to go into the book here. And Daniel Elder has sprinted over quite rapidly, the referee, to ensure it didn't further cause any problems. It's probably the clearest yellow card you'll ever see, Harps.
Well, he would have been happy if he got the yellow card the first time, then irritated that he had to continue with the foul to really get the referee's attention. It's a silly one for mine. They're very irritating. And now he needs to watch it. Of course, he set some sort of record a couple of weeks ago for getting sent off in record time.
Well, he got his first red card before his first yellow. There's his first yellow card in the A-League for Ronald Barcelus as Lewis bends it onto the head of Docker. Spills back out for Nicola. Back in the starting side in the league for the first time since January. That's with Bernardo, who was just out-muscled. There was more desire there from a Mariners perspective, and now Barcelus. He's got Torres. He's also got Farrell, who was powering forward, getting up high up the pitch, and he very nearly got on the end of it. Misses concerning because you don't see Jacob Farrell go down with that much pain on his face unless he is in some trouble.
No, it's a great opportunity, this. I think Jacob Farrell got his stud stuck as he stretched through. There was something. He just dug that knee in, hasn't he? As he tried to slide in, he's very gingerly making his way back to left fullback. Great chance that for the Central Coast, but you're right, Benny. He's down now. He doesn't ever ask for help, not in the time we've been watching him play.
It looked as though on that replay was a slight hyperextension, would you say, Harps?
No, I'm not.
You're not going to go into
I'm not so
medical.
well versed in that sort of stuff.
That's what it looked like.
He sort of opened the knee out as he slid, yeah. It's the right knee which is hurting. Let's hope there's no structural damage, meniscus damage. But what we do know is that Jacob Farrell, even when exhausted, will still run through brick walls. It takes a lot to stop him.
We say Mark Jackson. We'll head downstairs. Alongside him on the sideline is Glenn Lauder. Glenn, good afternoon to you. How is it downstairs?
Yeah, a little bit closer to Miles Stajovski than I am to Mark Jackson, Benny. But look, in the shade, it's really comfortable. It's really, really warm out in the sun, though, so that you can already see the players energy sapping. They'll be pleased to have a bit of a drinks break here through 12 minutes of play. Nathan Paul is already warming up for the Central Coast Mariners, getting ready to potentially enter the fray much earlier than Mark Jackson would have been hoping and that Nathan Paul would have been expecting. It's a really worrying sign for the Mariners for Jacob Farrell to be in this much discomfort. Of course, Storm Roo, the other fullback, is missing this afternoon with a little bit of a calf injury. So with the fact that they have to go to India tomorrow, the team leaves, this will be a really worrying sign for Mark Jackson. I suppose the only thing that is a little bit of a positive after the trip to India, we have got the international break coming up, so there is a little bit of relief there for the Mariners. But at the moment, it looks as though Jacob Farrell will try to continue.
Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, it is rapid trip over to India tomorrow, and Mark Jackson said that they parked any kind of analysis on Odisha until after this one. They wanted to fully focus on the Bulls, which they did yesterday, get themselves in the right headspace, have a bit of recovery, and then they're going to have to switch gears again. But at the moment, they're doing things very, very nicely. That's taken a few seconds off the clock from Danny Vukovic. They won't mind a little bit of extra rest, the Mariners. Really jam-packed schedule at the moment before the international window opens up. Edmondson under too much pressure from Matt Yerman. Caltac, you may have heard Robbie Thompson mention on Thursday his mother has passed away recently. Just tragic to hear. So devastatingly sad for Brian Caltac, I'm told, after their clash with Odisha. He's going to head straight back to Vanuatu. He has got international matches to play, but he's also going home to spend some time with the family as well.
Yeah, there's any more significant loss than one can endure than losing your mum. Give a shout out to dads as well, very special. For Brian Caltac, we wish him all the best. He's been enormous for the league and for the Mariners and for his country. He deserves all our best wishes.
That combination with this man, Dan Hall, who is eligible to represent Fiji. Not quite made the jump yet, but there's an opportunity in future if he wants to.
He might be making another jump at club level, Dan Hall. Very strong mail about Auckland. I know the Auckland thing's going to raise names left, right and centre, but it's a very strong bit of mail about Dan Hall.
Raphael stopped in his tracks by Docker, but referee says he got the man and not much of the ball, and this will help Macarthur.
just left that a little close. And didn't look too bad from Docker, that one.
Maybe the home fans getting in the ear of Daniel Elder here at Campbelltown Stadium. Clayton Lewis, we know how deadly he is over the dead ball. They've got some tall men, the Mariners defensively. You saw Ryan Edmondson there. Germain getting up. He could not have asked for a better kind of situation there. Just wonder whether he was making out as if the sun was in his eyes.
Well, he's been great, Germain, but yeah, maybe Dan Hall's going to stoop in and knock that one clear, but Tommy Uscock was bearing down behind him. Maybe a better option. It's difficult for Germain to be able to calibrate those chances as he's trying to read the ball, the flight of the ball, and make his own contact, but needless to say, that's a good opportunity for Macarthur to draw level.
11 in the league this season, 14 across all competitions. Only Matt Derbyshire has scored more goals in a league season for the Bulls than Valère Germain. Torres. That was good use of the body from Holman. That wasn't a great pass, though. Put Curto under some serious pressure, that ball back from Raphael.
Well, it counts as a completed pass. It adds to the stats.
That'll help him on the Paramount Plus Player Index halves. Don't worry, we'll have a look at that very soon. Brad Tapp. And Jacob Farrell, as we a little foray forward from the Mariners, he's still a little ginger with that leg problem. But as we mentioned before, as you said, Hubs, he is a very tough young player. He'll be trying to stay out there as long as possible. And that's a lovely pass to Torres. Barcelos couldn't get there in front of Vujica, and then Holman got the header away. Davila turning, not winning the free kick. Nisbet has time. Barcelos makes it 2-0 for the Mariners. Well, he scored the match winner here in the AFC Cup. He loves Campbelltown Stadium. He's got his first A-League goal here as well, and it's 2-0 to the Coasties.
Well, Macarthur just struggling to get the ball away. Uli Davila trying to steady the ship and keep possession, but loses the ball in a Harvey Norman replay. Guess who puts on the chance? Barcelos gets the goal to his name, and it's the goal in which he scored the winner in the cup match. But it's Josh Nisbet again, just calmly rolling the ball through into the goal-scoring situation. Sizing things up through the legs of Matt German and onto the left boot of Ronald Barcelos. And it's 2-0 for the Mariners, easy as you like.
Oh, isn't it wonderful to watch a team in full flight in some magnificent form at the moment? This is quite breathtaking from the Central Coast. They dispatched Odisha, maybe not with the same kind of finishing quality in the first half as we're seeing here today, Hubs. They are almost putting Q in the rack time. They get another one, 3-0 up, and they can almost put themselves into cruise control and get through to Thursday night. Can Macarthur have something to say about that?
Well, Macarthur sitting fourth at the start of play, and surely, yeah, given the good season they've had so far, with ambitions to challenge the top teams, but to be down 2-0 at home is going to require something pretty heroic from here, particularly against the hottest property in the comp at the moment. I mean, this run that the Mariners are on is awesome. It really is awesome. If they could bottle it, every team in this situation, whenever on the rare occasions they get to it, ask that question, because you can't bottle it. You just got to ride it for as long as you can, and the coach's job is to keep things, trying to keep things ticking along. At some point, an absent player, a bad result, and the leak can start to happen. The Mariners show no signs of approaching that at the moment.
Danny Schofield, their assistant, alongside Mark Jackson. Vujitsa and Bernardo. Can he inspire something from Macarthur? Davila. Two very tricky customers. Davila could be in trouble here as he dove in. It's a frustrated challenge from the Bulls captain on Barcelus, and he's into the book.
Well, it's very frustrated. He might have gotten a bit of trouble earlier, and I don't know, this is not looking real good on the replay. This is not looking real good on the replay, Ben. I hate to say it. One of the league's favourite players has just delivered so much, but this was naughty.
Are you hinting that there could be something further?
Well, it's not up to us, thankfully. I wouldn't want to be in that hot seat, but I'd be surprised if this one isn't being looked at.
Chris Griffiths-Jones is checking for a possible red card. Well, this match literally could not have started any worse for Macarthur, regardless of how this will play out. But if Davila is red carded, there is a long, long route back into this game. Their creative force, their spark in midfield, he has been outstanding this season. He'll be praying that it's just a yellow. And they have confirmed it is just a yellow card for Davila. So the Bulls dodge a bullet.
No, I don't know. I give up. I can't see where the consistency in this decision-making is. Not that I want Davila off the field as a player. He's one of my favourites, but how you follow this decision line week after week has got me completely beat.
Well, Harps, Jay O'Shea, Pat Wood will be looking at that going, hang on a second.
You're at Hendricks.
Hendricks, you can add to the list, and I agree with you. It's better for this match of football that Davila's out there, but it's incongruous with the decisions that we've seen this season. Does have to be careful now on a yellow ticket. So too does the man he felled in Ronald Barcelus. Vukovic to find Torres. I just wonder as well, Harps, Macarthur, I thought about this coming into this clash, the fact that they've had 2 matches a week for chunks of the season, like the Mariners. They've had a big gap between matches. Friday to Sunday, Mariners are just playing matches. They're in a rhythm. They're just going through their processes. Macarthur, bit of a break. I just wonder whether they could be a little flat for this one, and maybe it shows that it has had somewhat of an impact.
Possibly, but Macarthur's form generally has been good enough this season for them to bounce back from a poor game to a better game, and even within a game. And so they've set a good standard, a good base level of operation. They've got a well put together team. It seems to me that the chemistry in the team is good. German and Davila, the leading lights in attack, have been outstanding youngsters coming through. So they can work their way on the current projections out of the difficult periods. The Mariners are in rarefied air at the moment. There's the role they're on. Like I said, make the most of it whilst it's going.
Well, Macarthur, they've got so much quality to pull themselves out of this hole. The issue is that they found it difficult when they have conceded the first goal this season, like the Mariners, to take back opposition sides. Bernardo shoulder to shoulder with Docker. Which way does the referee go? It looks as though it's not the way of the Bulls, and it's a Mariners free kick.
Yeah, slightly in the back, I guess, is the view of the referee. It did look like shoulder to shoulder from the couple of angles we've seen, but that's a different angle from match referee Daniel Elder.
So just to finish off that stat, Macarthur, one of only 3 sides in the league that when they have conceded the first goal, they haven't come back and claimed all 3 points. Got a few draws, 3 draws and 4 defeats. I should say 4 draws, 3 defeats, that ledger for the Bulls. So stats are there to be broken, and here's a great opportunity for them, but they're up against this ruthless Mariners side who are now top of the league on the live ladder. Champions potentially on a path to the premiership this year. And well, we don't talk about it much in the A-League halves, but Mariners could be a shot at 3 pieces of silverware if they're good enough. Premiership, Championship, AFC Cup, they're in all 3 competitions. Who would have thought about that 4 rounds into this competition? Had no wins from those first 4 league matches.
Well, even draw that bow back a few seasons, Ben, when the Mariners were perennial wooden spoon holders or contenders, that over the course of Alan Stadgick into Nick Montgomery and now Jackson, they would be in the running for 3 titles, including a continental one. That's as the defending champions of Australia. It's a meteoric turnaround by this fantastic club. Long may it continue. In the short term, of course, Macarthur have a totally different view, equally compelling. They've got a league position to bolster. Their own ambitions to win the competition remain very firmly alive.
The Bulls just trying to show something for their home fans who have turned out in numbers in what they've built as their grassroots round. They've got plenty of young kids in the crowd. They would have been hoping for a better start to this game. Uzcock finds Raphael. Raphael trying to swerve away from Torres and tap. He's done well. Links with Nicolau. The 1-2. And Raphael stopped there by Farrell initially. And on the second attempt, will be a throw here for the Bulls. This Mariners defence are just not giving up any opportunities. Second best in the league. They haven't conceded in 3 A-League matches. Farrell just out muscling Raphael down near the corner, and the Mariners are going to get a throw out of it. The travelling fans are absolutely loving life at the moment. Davila and Jaman, and it's just been that kind of afternoon for the Bulls. It's been clunky and it's been frustrating for the home fans, but delightful for those Mariners.
Well, who's responsible for transporting those larger-than-life headshots? Great additions to the gallery. It has been a bit of a spluttery start from Macarthur, but it can change quickly.
Only takes one moment. Nicolau and Bernardo. Swept away by Docker. Vujitsa curling. Jaman was on the prowl there at the back post. Lewis and now Nicolau. Bulls can get some momentum in their favour and the bell's ringing, they will be hard to stop as Bernardo wins a free kick here. So they're just working their way slowly into this game, Macarthur.
Well, Bernardo and Mikhail Docker have been having their own little set too. Plenty of body contact in the exchanges so far. interesting one because almost every like challenge so far in this game, the referee has decided that the offensive player has just run into the defender. I didn't know that that was very different. I didn't notice necessarily that Macarthur stood outside his line to block the run of Bernardo, but this does provide a great chance for the Bulls.
Lewis couldn't lift it over the wall. Coleman does well to control, but then it's just lumped forward by Vujicic. Tommy Uzcock has some time, finds Davila, but was shut down by Tapp and gives away the free kick. And this is what the Mariners do every week. This is why they're not conceding goals. Desperation again on show, this time from Brad Tapp.
Well done, Brad Tapp. Full-blooded, full-throttled contact. Both players going for the ball. Davila's eyes on the ball, looking to try and ignite his team with what would have been, you'd imagine, a spectacular goal if he makes the contact with the shot from there. Now he hobbles back into position. A very focused defending, as you've alluded to, Ben, by the Mariners.
Coleman left that a little short on Bernardo. Now Tapp swiveling around in midfield. And Kaltak. Ballard onto the chest of Hall. The Mariners have just found a little bit of space down the right. The ball is going to beat Docker over the sideline. Had such an enterprising start to this game that I failed to mention a curious stat. This is almost at Brisbane Newcastle levels in the A-League, where the away side seems to win, but the Mariners' record at Campbelltown Stadium against the Bulls, 3 wins, no losses, no draws. And if you include the AFC Cup, you can make that 4. And they lead 2-0 here. They love coming here to Campbelltown, the Central Coast. And Macarthur, well, they love going the other way. They love heading to Central Coast Stadium. Barcelus, he's done a number there, and Vujicic rushes into the space. Edmondson throwing his big frame around it, so too is Tommy Uzcock. Coleman spurred on by the crowd. Davila looking for an option. Only yellow shirts in front, so he has to drop it off to Vujicic. And Lewis's pass, well, he couldn't recover, but in the end, the Mariners couldn't spring forward, so the Bulls able to go the other way. Bernardo, there's 2 Mariners in front of him. They're just shutting off all the avenues at the moment for Macarthur. Raphael. Docker just beating Vujicic to the punch. German putting some pressure on Hall, but the Mariners able to get it away. Nisbet swivels and slides a pass in behind, which Nicolau intercepts. Two goals for the Mariners from those 4 shots on goal. Efficient. 3 shots on target of the 4. The Bulls just with 1 in 30, almost 36 minutes now here at Campbelltown. They've just been snuffed out every half opportunity they've created, Macarthur. They've been allowed space in these kind of areas, but not able to get themselves into the box at the moment. Raphael. And the frustration is showing.
They're just not positive enough as that ball came out to the left. It's Raphael who'll have to carry the can for the poor pass, but I just don't think there was any dynamism coming in support from Ute. At any moment as that ball came out to the left, there was nothing particularly positive from Ivan there, and it just broke down. It broke down between the two with sloppy or no communication. It's not the case here. There's a laser focus for the Mariners, and they're not letting anything go.
Laser focus from their coach. There's nothing else you can say outside of what an outstanding job the staff's done, and we've heard how hard working they are. Extra information, the clips giving to players. Especially that young man, Josh Nisbet. He's always keen to continue improving his game, and it looks as though he's earned Nicolau a yellow ticket here with his great work down the left. Test for the Bulls. How do they work their way through the Mariners? What is the discussion at half-time to try and get themselves out of this very challenging situation that they're stuck in? Because they haven't really looked like scoring half.
No, they've got to find a bit more of a physical spark, and how you deliver that, either with a verbal message or a couple of personnel changes. But that, to me, would be the start. It's not as though they have to find good football form from nowhere. They've played some good stuff, and recently just been a little flat in this half.
German, better away from Hall. Caltac sees that there's no balls around him, so he's able to hoof it straight down the middle. Edmondson showing a bit of toe. The tall striker who's arrived from the UK in January, and Davila is going to earn a free kick. I thought the referee was going to play advantage, but he decided not to. Raphael was certainly asking why not. For one brief moment, there looked to be a little bit of space for the young winger to get into down the left, but Daniel Elder calling it back. That free kick. German's delivery cut out by Caltac. They are just not letting anyone get close to the ball in a Bulls shirt. Caltac and Hall, two imperious centre backs, so tall and strong as well, imposing. Nicolau's lifting this high. Docker away. Maybe it's going to take something special from Jake Holman. He scored some wonder goals out from outside the box, but even he not being afforded the time and space. Lewis gets picked off by Tapp. Edmondson and Nisbet waiting for the cavalry to arrive down the right. They do in the form of Docker. Mikhail Docker cuts it back. There's some space for Torres. Now Ballard. Always rising.
Yeah, for a rare moment, a rare occasion, that was an attack that lacked conviction from the Mariners. They're normally way more pointed with their decision making and their final execution, and this waffled badly at the end. And that's before it got to the Ballard shot, which never came close.
Inside the final 5, regulation time before half-time. Very even in the possession stakes. Not so on the scoreboard at the moment, but Macarthur can breathe some life into this with a late goal. Lewis, Raphael, Davila, and Davila goes on the second attempt. Brian Kaltak in a really tricky situation. He stood tall and blocked the avenue to goal. Meanwhile, at the other end, Nisbet on the counter-attack earns a free kick.
Well, Kaltak's immovable. This apparently is just a regulation free kick, but again, the defenders can keep doing that all day and not get sanctioned for it.
Ballard kicks out Nisbet, who's just drifted across to the left. Being afforded such free rein, playing higher up the pitch, it's working wonders for the Mariners this season. Jacob Farrell, after that injury scare earlier in the game, looks to be moving more freely. Just wonder how he will go at halftime when it cools down a little bit. Might want to take him off, and as we see Barcelus, goal scorer again at Campbelltown in this first half. Scored the second after Josh Nisbet opened the scoring in a very similar manner to the way he scored last week against Newcastle. Match winner on that occasion in the F3 Derby win. Davila is going to earn a free kick. Just allows the Mariners to get themselves reset though, and this could be another one. At what point do the fouls build up, Harps, that yellow card is handed out?
Well, I think players would stop fouling unnecessarily if there was a judicious, appropriately awarded yellow card, just to make people know that you just cannot stop the game willy-nilly without sanction. These last couple of fouls were not in that category. They're just free kicks. I'm comfortable with them just being free kicks. But the ref doesn't have, I don't think, an inexhaustible reservoir of patience.
Ballard and Nisbet. Ballard continuing a forward run, but Nisbet's got the option of Torres, and in the end required a somewhat straighter pass, and Nicolau was well positioned. Davila kept it moving quickly, but Mikhail Docker, he nails his assignment once again. Wingers Raphael and Bernardo are just not being allowed any room to move in this game. Such a strong point usually for Macarthur, using those speedy players on the outside. Just not happening for them so far today, but Bernardo with another example of that there. Almost as if Macarthur, they move the ball down the field, and then in the final third they're trying to pass the ball through Honey, because there are just Mariners shirts everywhere picking it off. They are going to have to think about that over the halftime break. How can they find that key to unlock this Mariners defence, which just shows no signs of conceding at the moment. 3 minutes remaining of stoppage time in this first half. Ball, that's some good pressure from Raphael. And the Bulls try and pen the Mariners in here. Lewis. And He's clipped it straight into the path of Nisbet. Those short strides, they just close down the space on the ball. And the Mariners get themselves out of trouble. There is an issue here, though. Clayton Lewis, was he collected after playing that pass off the back of the throw it was? This was the incident. Torres. Still got time here, the Mariners, for some more joy in this first half. Couldn't get any better for the Central Coast. Nisbet kept it moving. Barcelus. Torres looked to be offside. And that's what will happen. Flag up.
Well, it's another opening from which the Mariners might have made more. In fact, at 3-0 going into half-time. But they had a little bit more about them. Very, very difficult assignment this then becomes for Macarthur, who, with just the 2-goal margin and maybe a bit of a half-time adjustment led by coach Miles Tajovski, there's clearly a way back into this one for Macarthur.
Two-goal lead in football. We know what it possesses. Certainly some nerves for the fans of the side in front. So they look to try and go on and close this one out and then switch focus to doing the business against Odisha and making it through. So half-time here at Campbelltown Stadium. The Central Coast Mariners just continuing their impressive form. And that man too, Josh Nisbet, with 2 goals in a week after scoring last week. Ronald Barcelus continuing his love affair here with Campbelltown Stadium after scoring the winner in the AFC Cup, and Jacob Farrell shrugging off an earlier injury scare. At half-time at Campbelltown, Macarthur 0, Central Coast Mariners 2. And we'll be back with a wrap-up of all the first half action. It's coming up right after the break.
To celebrate our grassroots, please welcome Macarthur Grassroots Clubs to the field. Today we have the Junior Strong Athens United Soccer Club, Bradbury Invervale Football Club, Warringah District Soccer Club, Camden Falcons Football Club, Camden Tigers Football Club, Campbelltown Cobblers Soccer Club, Campbelltown Collegians Football Club, Campbelltown United Church Soccer Club, Douglas Park Wilton Football Club, Escol Park Football Club, Bloomfield Lions FC, Gregory Hills Football Club, Gunners Soccer Club, Harrington United Football Club, Ingleburn Eagles Soccer Club, Macarthur Football Association, Macarthur Rams, Minto District Soccer Club, Mount Adams Soccer Club Mustangs, the Relon Rangers Soccer Club, Oran Park Rovers Football Club, Picton Rangers Football Club, Bruce Football Club, and Safaris Eaglevale Soccer Club.
fast with his very first international goal. Here's Jackson Irvine. It's there for Australia. Jackson Irvine. Goodwin. Craig Goodwin on the volley.
Welcome back to Campbelltown Stadium for the Hungry Jacks half-time show, and it is the Central Coast Mariners with a 2-goal buffer, but concerns for the fitness of Jacob Farrell, their influential left back. Picked up a knee injury as he was looking to find the back of the net early in that first half, and maybe that is pause for thought for Mark Jackson and the Central Coast Mariners coach. When the Mariners scored their second goal, you saw Mark Jackson just look down to Nathan Paul, a defender on the bench for the Mariners, and think maybe give Jacob Farrell an early mark. Of course, they have to go to Odisha tomorrow to continue their AFC Cup campaign. So despite the fact that the Mariners have a 2-goal lead, in an all-perfect world, they'd be sitting in the dressing rooms all smiles. But that is a little caveat that may make the Mariners coach think twice about what happens in this next 45. It certainly makes for an intriguing second half. Our commentators, Andy Harper and Ben Homer, will run the rule over what happened in the opening 45.
Thank you, Glenn. Yes, Andy Harper, the Harvey Norman highlights are going to show the Mariners' magnificence once again.
If anything, there was a sign with the last couple of attacks that maybe a little bit of steam, understandably, might have been going out of the Mariners' engine, but to get too clear was just brilliant. This from Nisbet, he's just getting better and better, and from a very high base, building a beautiful reputation for himself now as a goal scorer. And then it's Davila, who's otherwise been magnificent as an A-League player, just coughing up possession, and it's Nisbet again for goal number 2 to put the ball through to Barcelos in the same goal, as we mentioned, where he secured the AFC Cup victory just a couple of weeks ago.
And the Mariners, well, they did have a few moments, Macarthur, in the half. This was Davila's challenge here on Barcelos. Now, Harps, we've seen those kind of challenges given red cards this season.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this. I'm hugely, deeply embedded in the Uli Davila fan club, and I'm compromised in this one because I want to see him play football, but I don't know, given what's happened this season, how that wasn't even asked of the referee to have another look.
Well, we will get to that a little bit more because there's been some drama in the other game as well, Harps. But I just want to ask you about the Macarthur side of things. 2 shots at goal, none on target. They have not looked like scoring in the first half. How do they turn that around in the second to get themselves remotely close to challenging the Mariners?
Yeah, well, they've got to find a spark. They've got to look individually at themselves, and the coach has to find some freshness. But for that sloppy-ish finishing to the half by the Mariners' high standards otherwise, the game could be done. So that's a morsel of positivity. Otherwise, they've been very, very sloppy, Macarthur. And, you know, they're enjoying a good position on the table. They are serious challenges for the title, but not on the evidence of the first half. And they've got to find their better form, and they've got to find it quickly.
And that's been the stunning part of it. Macarthur are a really good side. They're angling towards their best finish of the season. But at the moment, the Mariners and Josh Nisbet, well, they're just finding all the answers at the moment. What do you like Harps, about Nisbet playing further up the pitch this season?
Well, he's showing just what a clever player he is now with goals to it. But it gives them the ability, the Mariners, to play with a bona fide midfielder, athletically, who can cover the ground defensively when needed. And he's showing each week better and better that his football nous, his football intelligence, his technique is good enough to hold the line up in the attacking zone. And he's that wonderful balance. I mean, it's a very complete offering for Josh Nisbet, and enables Coach Jackson now to bolster the team with a more defensive player if needed, because this guy can play the attacking role, and he's got the fitness levels and the endurance to motor up and down the field as and when needed.
Well, let's hear from one of Josh Nisbet's teammates who's not on the field tonight. He's with Glenn Lauder.
Yeah, thanks very much, Benny. Got Storm Roo alongside me. We were speaking about the fitness of the fullback that's out there, Jacob Farrell, another fullback sideline. Storm, we'll get to your injury in just a moment. But what did you make of the first half? Going 2 up nice and early, it gives you a bit of a buffer.
Yeah, really good. I mean, obviously going 2-0 at half-time is always positives in that. I think the boys are playing really well, defending really well. So, yeah, positives going into half-time.
you're obviously playing on two fronts, and you've got the big trip to Odisha, which starts tomorrow morning. A couple of days for acclimatising over there, and nice to take a bit of a buffer there as well after that 4-0 win midweek.
Yeah, obviously we've gone pretty far in the tournament now, and yeah, we always wanted to capitalise on having the home leg first, and going over there with an advantage. So yeah, go over that game and hopefully get another result, and yeah, on to the next round.
Was it a night that you thought you might have had a bigger advantage?
I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, we had enough opportunities. I thought we came out firing. We sort of got them, from minute go. They were under pressure, and we could have scored a few more, maybe. But we'll take 4-0. We're happy with that. It's a huge advantage in a competition like this to, take to an away game. And
what about you not featuring today? Are you travelling?
Yeah, the plan is to hopefully be right to travel. Just a bit of tightness in the calf. So big flight coming up. Not take our chances. So yeah, aiming for it.
All right, Storm, best of luck for the second half this afternoon, and of course for that trip to Odisha. That wraps up the Hungry Jacks halftime show from here at Campbelltown Stadium. The Mariners with a 2-0 lead over Macarthur. The second half not far away.
Overlapping run, Nisbet. The comeback is brilliant for Docker, and he continues his rich scoring vein as well. 1-2, oh, that's lovely play. Rue now. Oh, great finish. And he does get his first AFC Cup goal. Rifling the ball inside the far post. The Australian champions will take a 4-goal lead back to India.
F1 is all about the need for speed.
And it's lights out and away we go.
Wheel to wheel action at 330 kilometres an hour.
Around the outside goes Max Verstappen.
And it's coming to Network 10.
And into absolute chaos on the restart.
We'll bring you all the action from on and off the track as Albert Park hosts the world's best.
What a moment in Melbourne.
It's the Formula One Rolex Australian Grand Prix, live on Network 10.
There's always plenty of drama in the F1, always plenty of drama when these two sides meet. The Mariners and the Bulls, they have set up quite the rivalry. There's been some famous moments when they've met in seasons gone by. Matty Hatch's famous first touch A-League goal, that finals win for Macarthur, and of course that AFC Cup clash last month. And there's some new faces on the field in the second half. Keely Adamson coming on for the Bulls. So going to look to add some spark down the right flank. Coming on for Yanni Nicolau. And we're underway in the second 45 minutes. The Mariners 45 minutes away from going to the top of the A-League ladder. Who would have thought that 4 matches into this season, after they were 0-4, Andy Harper, they are so close to being top of the pile.
Yeah, well, as things stand, they're the top team in the competition. Wellington's loss overnight has opened the door slightly and they're ready to storm through. But that's with 45 minutes to play, and I think it's reasonable for us to expect some sort of reaction from Macarthur, who've built a solid campaign, and they don't want to just let this 3 points go without a fight. There's a pretty tepid first half from them. They can't afford the same output in the second half.
So Nicolau on for Adamson, on for Nicolau, and he's trying to defend Torres here. Nathan Paul also on for Jacob Farrell. A neat 1-2. Nisbet, Torres, and couldn't beat Philip Curto. Well, that's a save which keeps the Bulls in the match for the moment.
And it was diligent enough defending from Keely Adamson just to pressure, but they're all at sea in the 1v1s at the moment. Little 1-2 gets Torres in behind, but Keely Adamson, to his credit, he stuck to the task, and then Tommy Uscock swept in to add an extra barrier, and then Philip Curto beating the ball away. Ultimately good defending from Macarthur.
Ballard thumping this ball deep. And now it sits for Torres, appeals for handball, but well, it's a penalty. I thought he was outside the box, Matt Yerman, and that is what he's saying to Daniel Elder. He's gone in for a yellow card. He is adamant that he was outside the box, or he didn't handle it. He's certainly very unimpressed with the decision.
Well, it's probably inside the box on that first replay. Is his arm out to the side as he turns his back? He's got no idea where the ball is.
Well,
His arm's in close. I mean,
it is.
That's not referred on Friday night in the Wanderers Western game.
I don't think that's a penalty. His arms are in close to his body halves where it hits him. It basically hits him under the armpit, doesn't it?
The question now is, referees awarded the penalty. Is there going to be enough information to overturn it? But that's not, again, that's not consistent with almost any handball we've seen in the VAR era. His arm's in close.
Yeah.
He hasn't made himself bigger. I don't think you can claim intent.
So they are upholding this penalty, the VAR. Make of that what you will. Angel Torres is not going to be concerned about that. And Philip Curto saves for the Bulls, and justice may well be done here at Campbelltown Stadium. The Bulls fans will certainly feel like it has been. Two saves of penalties this season from Philip Curto. Just confirmation there of the Mariners changes. So DiPizio on, so to Nathan Paul. Barcelus and Farrell both replaced. Barcelus did look as though he had some kind of a problem heading in at half-time, so might check up on that with Glenn just to find out whether there are any injury concerns for the Mariners heading over to India, which they're doing tomorrow. So maybe that's the lift Macarthur need. They could have been down 3-0 there. Can it ignite? The Davala's shot is deflected away for a corner. That's the most promising little attack we've seen from the Bulls.
There's a reprieve from the failed penalty attempt for Macarthur. Kurto too good. Macarthur survive at 3-0 down, given what they've shown so far. I don't see them coming back, but at 2-0, there's still a chance. And that poor penalty from the Mariners comes on the back of a sloppy-ish ending to the first half, where they had some good attacking opportunities to perhaps put the game to bed. Just leaving things slightly open for a Macarthur resurgence here.
Lewis's corner brings appeals. Valer-Germain asking whether it's worthy of more inspection from upstairs.
Well, he certainly had a handful of his shirt. That's how aggressively that shirt was being tugged, I guess, would be the variable.
Now, referee Daniel Elder just holding things up for a moment and saying that there's no concern from the VAR, so it's play on. And Lewis is driving it straight into the arms of Danny Vukovic. Who is closing in on 10 clean sheets this season. The most he's got in a season was that incredible year with Sydney. 16-17 season where he kept 16 clean sheets, but that was just a side that could not be broken down. It was a sky blue wall under Graham Arnold when Danny Vukovic was there before he headed over to Belgium. And Harps, just to complete that, the last Mariners goalkeeper to keep double-figure clean sheets in a season, Matty Ryan, back in 2012-13. So that's how long it's been since the Mariners' defence was as watertight as it has been this season.
Oh, and that was the defence underpinned by Paddy Svansvik, to assume, which immediately puts Ryan Kaltak, in my opinion, in elevated territory as the comparable centre-half or comparable position.
Elder had the whistle to his mouth, but he's allowed the Mariners to play on, and now Uzcock has won it back for Macarthur, and there's space here for Holman. He's got Raphael. Raphael steps inside. This will be a corner.
It was better from Macarthur, much better. They're able to keep the Mariners pinned in their own territory, build a little bit of pressure. There's certainly more zip in their movement. That was a good bit of committed play from Tommy Uzcock. They're stretching in with those long legs of his to keep the attack going.
Things are happening for Mile Stajovski's side. They need the exclamation point, though. Lewis is driving it in low. Yerman got himself about in the box. Adamson. Lewis. And Holman, a cross shot, which bends its way over the goal. They've got a massive throng of fans, a lot of them kids coming in for their grassroots clash this afternoon, that would love to see some goals in their second half. And it raised the noise level here at Campbelltown Stadium. And they've come out better after half-time, Macarthur. And as we know, 1 goal. And this match will change considerably as Nathan Paul put himself into a pickle and Holman profits with possession. Ryan Caltack, though, breathing down his neck. Wins the ball back for the Mariners. Now he's in a scrap for possession. Look at the strength of Brian Caltack down by the corner flag. But Adamson pitches it back for the Bulls. And the Mariners away through Nisbet. And off goes Mikhail Docker. Nisbet powering through the middle. Docker finds Edmondson. He's got his first in the A-League. Ryan Edmondson, the English striker, who arrived in January. He's arrived on the score sheet in the A-League. And it's 3-0 to the visitors.
Well, amazing, really, on the Harvey Norman replay, because Macarthur have had the better of the second half and they were indeed pushing for their own situation to unfold in the Mariners' penalty area. But the defence springs into an attack. Docker puts it on for Edmondson, who finishes with a plump. Really, that's a good finish from the Englishman. The Mariners at their very best, really. In one sweeping movement. Beautiful stuff.
And you don't always see acrobatics like that from a player as tall as Ryan Edmondson. He's banged in some goals in the AFC Cup, scored a hat-trick against Phnom Penh. Now he's grabbed one in the A-League. A striker who helped Carlisle United to promotion from League 2 to League 1 at the back end of last season in front of the big crowd at Wembley. They won that on penalties. He scored in that penalty shootout victory. Was with Carlisle in League 1 this season. It's been a really tough campaign for them. Makes the move to the Mariners. Meanwhile, on the Macarthur bench, there's some serious thinking going on here for Miles Stajovski. The side was a little flat in the first half, and then just as things looked to be happening for them in the second, the Mariners with the sucker punch made it 3-0.
Well, is Ryan Edmondson one of those hot foot players? His departure from Carlisle has coincided with Carlisle being bottom of League 1. His arrival at the Mariners into a pretty well-oiled machine, it should be fair to say, but he's making his own contributions as well.
Nisbet. Off Vujitsa. Patizio is hunting the ball. This will be another Mariners throw. Now, I spoke to Mark Jackson about Ryan Edmondson this week and how he had gelled into the side. He said really well, but he's just been working on the style of play. As we see Danny De Silva warming up, maybe an option for the Bulls in the second half, back from injury. There's Docker shooting, almost setting up Edmondson for a second, and that was the challenge for Edmondson, is just adjusting to the different style of play that the Mariners obviously are utilising as opposed to Carlisle in the UK, which we can probably think bottom of League 1. The style of football would be vastly different on some sodden winter pitches before he departed. Patizio plays the pass to Adamson. Avla links with Gemar. There's been no kind of ill will at all shown from the Mariners towards the Frenchman. Here he is, Gemar, after that explosion at the back end of that AFC Cup match where he kicked the ball in the direction of the technical area. But we haven't quite seen Harry Steele come out yet for the Mariners. We'll see how that plays out as Vujitsa's delivery. Raphael So too Germain, and in the end, it beats everyone, and it'll just be a goal kick.
And a ball had some nice loop on it from Ute, and just lacked a really willing participant inside the penalty area from a black and white viewpoint.
That comes up for offside, and just saw some changes from the Macarthur side. Alu Qual also getting ready to come on. How about the strike force that they've got at their disposal, the Mariners, as Bernardo, his time on the pitch may be done based on what we're seeing from the Macarthur bench. Jed Drew is getting ready along with Kieran Backus. Back to his feet now though. Lewis, a player who can score direct from these kind of set pieces, but looks as though his eyesight is in the direction of the tall timber, the likes of Uzcock, but he's going to go direct and couldn't get it to drop for the midfielder. And here come the changes, so Macarthur hoping that these two can add some spark. Drew and Backus. So it'll be Raphael that is replaced by Jed Drew. And Clayton Lewis, his final involvement was that set piece. And he's been replaced by Kieran Backus, who returned last week off the bench after missing about a month with that groin injury. Jed Drew, he's just had to go to the bench with Bernardo impressing. Lockie Rose also coming onto the field for Bernardo, who's limped from the field. And Alu Qual, the like for like would be Edmondson, and that is what will happen here. Ryan Edmondson gets his first A-League goal and gets a break to freshen up for Thursday.
Yeah, it's a really good finish. For a man of his size, it's not bad acrobatics either.
It's outstanding.
Yeah. Speaking of, he knows how to throw himself around. Alu Qual still waiting really for his return to the Mariners to get going. He's so much talent.
He's got 7 goals in all competitions, none in the last 9 though. And he hasn't actually scored since the New Year's Eve clash. So he hasn't scored yet in 2024, Alu Qual. Rose, a little hand there from the striker. He gets a bit of game time as well, Lockie Rose, because he's been coming off the bench for probably sort of 20 minutes, maybe if that at times this season. He's come off the bench in all bar 1 match this campaign. Well, throws himself about, and it was a sickening collision, and he falls to the floor quite heavily. Oh, that is a horrible head clash with Adamson. He's only just come back from suspension, did miss the match last week with yellow card accumulation. He's just come onto the field, and we're just discussing that halves, the energy that he's going to bring, throwing his body about. He does that right there, and just awful, that head clash with Adamson. Does not look any better. The more you look at it, Adamson just shaking his head about. He looks to be a lot better than Qual, who's got some blood coming from the face. And we'll head down to the sideline Glenn, what are you seeing from the Macarthur side of things? Because at the moment, Mark Jackson and the Mariners, they are most impressed with this performance.
Yeah, Benny, we just had a couple of fans behind the dugout actually calling for substitutions, and I'm not sure that Miles Stajovski was necessarily listening to them, but he made those 3 substitutions to try to turn things around. It was a really flat first half, wasn't it? And they came out looking better in the second half. When the goals were scored in that first half, there was no real reaction. There were hands on hips, and they were in a bit of a malaise, Macarthur. You spoke about the 8-day gap between games, and they didn't come out of the blocks at all well in that first half. Miles Stajovski is now laying down the law, and you can see there the blood pouring out of the mouth of Alu Kuol. It's a pretty inauspicious way to mark your 50th game in the A-League. Jing Reese is still on the bench, and you get the feeling that Mark Jackson would have been hoping to keep Jing Reese fresh for the trip to India. We wait and see what happens with Alu Kuol, and hopefully for the Mariners' sake he is able to continue. The other question mark for the Mariners is Jacob Farrell. He's only just returned from the tunnel. He's obviously had his halftime shower and come out. The Mariners are saying that that knee injury, he was taken off as a precaution purely. We wait and see what that means in terms of his involvement against Odisha in the week. And Ronald Barcelus has his right ankle strapped as well. So although he picked up a yellow card in the first half, it looked a bit shaky. Maybe there was a question mark over his right ankle as well.
Thanks, Glenn. Yeah, we were talking about the embarrassment of riches the Mariners have got in an attacking department. Torres, Barcelus, Kuol, Edmondson, just all chomping at the bit, scoring goals. Well, it's a couple of injury concerns for Barcelus and now Kuol. So it'll be interesting to see if he does come back or whether they do enact the concussion rule, and that allows Jing Reese to come onto the field. Bacchus and Vujitsa. Drew drives it into Ballard. This will be a free kick going the Mariners' way. I know it's too simplistic an explanation, Harps, around the reason for Macarthur being flat, as we do see here. So Jing Reese is going to replace Alu Kuol, so only on the field for a matter of minutes, and now he's been replaced. But Macarthur's big break between matches after such a busy schedule, I wondered whether it would have an impact, and maybe it's a contributing factor.
Well, it's like the great Nottingham Forest winger John Robertson said, "I'm only fat when we lose."
Exactly, and that was...
You have too many games in too many days, the players get tired, you have big rests and they get sluggish. You just got to work through it. I think everyone reasonably, the Macarthur fans in particular, would be expecting more of this team, which has had a good season so far, and plenty more, as we keep saying, to come. But they're so far behind in this game, and should be 3. They should be 4, given consider that they missed that penalty. I mean, it's not unsalvageable, this one still, but it's going to be a remarkable escape if they can get out of it.
Maybe Drew can provide the spark here, but Docker, that is expert one-on-one defending. Now with Uzcock. Bacchus. Here is Yaman. Adamson could link up in a tight area here for the Bulls. Adamson won't track this down though.
And the frustration builds for Macarthur. The body language isn't overly positive. They're toiling at the moment. That's probably the rightest you can say about it. They haven't thrown in the towel, nor would you expect them to, but they haven't thrown in the towel. But it's a toil, it's a battle for them. At home against the Mariners, it's seriously minus a spark.
Jacob Farrell just looked to be taking the ice off the knee there. That might be a good sign for Mariners fans, or not, whichever way you look at it. He gets a rare moment to relax on the sidelines. Very pensive, Milos Stajovski there. He just wondering what quite has gone wrong so far. In front of a decent home crowd this afternoon, you can see the hill packed behind the goal Macarthur running at. Can they give them something to cheer about? Rose hooks it back. Players arriving. Ball is going to trickle down towards the corner. Adamson arrives, drills it in low, and Paul deflected it away only as far as Uzkok, whose shank shot lands in the lap of Danny Vukovic. Ballard beats Bacchus. Is there another one here for the Mariners? DeFizio let it run on to Nisbet, who just trod on the ball in the end. Now Macarthur, how quickly can they move the ball here? Holman. Narvala shifts it out to Drew. Moving the Mariners around somewhat, but then the last pass just not there for the Bulls so far this afternoon.
Well, they've had a couple of good deliveries into the penalty area at Macarthur, but no one there to finish it off. That wasn't one of them. And they're going to have to do way better if they're going to beat Danny Vukovic in the Mariners' goal, who, Ben, I'm reliably informed, will complete the Bradman today of clean sheets in his A-League career. 100 clean sheets on offer with today's result if it stays with 0 against Macarthur's name.
Yeah, and that is a new record in the A-League. He would be the first goalkeeper in A-League men's history to 100 clean sheets. And he'd also go to 10 for the campaign. Maybe the Bulls can try and spoil that party. There's Adamson. Gets his feet tangled up. It's interesting, Harps, because I remember, I think it was last year he overtook Liam Reddy, might have been earlier this year actually, for the most clean sheets in A-League history. Every week we were waiting for it. The Mariners just couldn't keep a clean sheet. Now, just racking them up week after week. Darvala was inquiring about a penalty. I don't think there was much more than that. It was pretty soft.
Yeah, I think he's probably initiated the contact there. Paul has stepped in slightly with his right foot, but that's, I think, going to go down as incidental contact.
Well, the Bulls, they don't want to get pulled into a finals dogfight. It's not looking good for them this afternoon. Next week, they travel to Ballymore to face Brisbane Roar. Tough challenge, Brisbane. Under Ruben Zadkovic at the moment, playing at the moment against Sydney FC. And they have been a real tough side to play, especially in Queensland. Beat Melbourne City, thumped them 5-1. They beat Melbourne Victory last week up there in Queensland. So there's a really challenging away trip, and the Bulls, they don't want to let the seams fall out of what's been a really good season. 39 points, the high watermark for them. Back in their first campaign where they finished 6th. They're on 32 at the moment. A real chance of making history. Darvala got enough of a nudge to send him to the floor. Bacchus. Holman. Davila got a little nudge on the ankle from Brad Tapp. Macarthur going to play on here. Holman. Adamson, low. It's a good delivery. Spills out for Holman, who dinks it in. And Germain gave himself up, but it will be a Bulls corner.
And that's the challenge for the Macarthur team. Just when you think your attack's improved, had a couple of sharp movements, a bit of interplay, a quick retake, you've then got to get past the very hungry and sharp Mariners defence, which was too much for them on that occasion. They do get the corner.
The less said about that corner, the better, I think, Harps. From the great man.
It even happens from the very best.
He can do some magical things, and he is human as well. Lily Davila. It's just been one of those afternoons for Macarthur. Just 4 losses all season in the A-League men's competition. That's why they're sitting nicely inside the top 6, the final spots. It can all change if you don't start picking up points towards the back end of the season as the chasing pack gathers steam. So Daniel Elder points to the sideline, and it means we've got the arrival of Danny De Silva, which is wonderful to see. For the first time since the 23rd of December when he suffered that hamstring injury over in Perth. Jake Holman leaves the field. His next appointment will be the Olyroos, but Danny De Silva has had a wretched run this season with injury. Finally, he is out there for his 6th appearance in the A-League across this campaign. Haven't rushed him back early at all, Macarthur. They've made sure he's 100% right, and now he's going to build up that fitness that you can only gain playing matches, that extra level. They'll love a fit Danny De Silva for their run into the finals. Silva. And the clearance from the Mariners straight off the chest of Bacchus. It's pinballing around. Cap calms things down for the Mariners. And now DePizio. Just opened slightly for Drew. Germain. That would have been a pretty spectacular goal from the Frenchman to try and breathe some life into this Bulls performance.
Yeah, it was a pretty ugly little exchange between both players, but as that dropped to Germain, just for a second, he's very capable of something spectacular from here. Struck it nicely.
He's just clutching at his chest here, and combination here as we see the referee going and having a chat with his assistant Lance Greenshields over on that far side. Is there something that happened off the ball? They're having a chat to Jing Reis and potentially giving him his final warning. So something that happened way down the field, totally off the ball. A little bit of jostling between the experienced Matty Yerman and the young striker in Jing Reis. We'll watch that little duel unfold. Here is Yerman Jing Reese able to find the pass to Docker. Torres. Through Reese. Docker. DePizio. Does it deflect in? It doesn't. Just wide for Miguel DePizio, looking for his second A-League goal. Every time the Mariners go forward, they look as though they're going to score.
That's a good save from Philip Curto. Really good save. Nice attack again from the Mariners. DePizio close. Curto too good.
Mikael Docker short to DePizio, leaves it for Docker. And Dan Hall on the first. Nisbet trying to get there on the second, and Yerman sweeps it away.
Well, inside a minute, Philip Curto stops it from being 4 for Macarthur. He really is a fantastic goalkeeper. This is clever from the Mariners. Great anticipation. And then Keely Adamson hacking the ball clear just as Josh Nisbet was likely to help himself to a second for the game.
Well, Harps, it's all about the hundreds for the goalkeepers this afternoon. Philip Curto with 100 saves this season. And that was actually the penalty that he saved. So how about that for an exclamation mark on his 100th save? And Danny Vukovic, well, he's closing in on 100 A-League clean sheets. Just needs to hold out for the remainder of this match, and he can raise the bat here at Campbelltown Stadium. Doesn't this afternoon, he'd have to wait until next week when they face clash with Sydney, which will be after the international break, because next week's clash with City has been pushed back because of their travel to India, so that'll be played midweek in April. Uzcock and De Silva. And just the goal kick, well defended by the Mariners. So the Bulls with Brisbane next week before their international break, with Holman going to the Olyroos. Jacob Farrell as well off to Saudi Arabia with Tony Vidmar's side. And here comes Harry Steele, replacing Brad Tapp. And you'll remember that he and Bella Jaman had somewhat of a confrontation on the sideline, the slapping incident at the back end of that AFC Cup match. I'm sure it's all forgotten now, is it, Harps? They won't be carrying any further with that today.
You wouldn't imagine so, but only time will tell on that front band.
Backus. Adamson holding into the back of Paul. Flips it to Torres. De Silva. Brings a whistle from Elder. For these set-piece situations, the Mariners just love. When you got Kaltak and Hall at the back. What about Dan Hall? One loss in 16 A-League matches since he's come into the side, starting at centre-back. Didn't play the first 4, then came into the starting side. Maybe Macarthur, for a moment, it looked as though they were going to find a chink in the armour, but the Mariners scrambled well to clear it away. And De Silva, almost in the same spot, is going to earn another free kick.
Well, floated in Danny Vukovic comes but doesn't collect. And that all game, and there's even been just the nearest of an opportunity for Macarthur. The Mariners defenders have swooped.
Silva gets the eyes from a teammate. Back post it goes towards Uskok, and Vukovic is floating through the air and making the grab. Heading towards 4 consecutive league clean sheets. Last time they conceded was in round 16 against Sydney. This ball all the way through to Vukovic.
Well, that was a glancing header attempted by Uli Davila. Very similar scenario from which he scored in that cup match a couple of weeks ago. He didn't get the contact this time, and Danny Vukovic unbeaten and finding Josh Nisbet with a very efficient piece of work. A bit of distribution from the goalkeeper.
No surprise, it is a Mariner flavoured Paramount Plus Player Index top 5. Nisbet up the top. And up goes the flag from the assistant. And that means there's going to be a free kick here for Josh Nisbet. Just on Josh Nisbet, Mark Jackson says, couldn't believe that he found it so difficult coming up through the ranks because of his height. Because he said if you see what he can do with the ball and without it, you'd have him in your team every day. Doesn't matter how high he is.
Well, still in the system in Australia, big and fast. In the youth system, big and fast still counts. Progress in some of those discussions very, very slow indeed.
Ballard straight to Nisbet. Can he get a second? Josh Nisbet. Well, Philip Curto comes to the rescue again. Up over 100 saves this season, and he is adding to that count. Just 3 minutes remaining here in regulation time for the Bulls. This ball floated over the top. It was neatly glanced by Jed Drew, but Dan Hall, shoulder to shoulder with Lockie Rose, put him off balance. Angel Torres in behind. Torres to make it for Curto again. If not for Philip Curto, this scoreline could be even uglier. The man in bright orange has put on another impressive display. He doesn't need those colours to illuminate this performance. It has been most impressive.
There's twice 1v1 directly against Angel Torres. Curto's come up trumps. Once was from the penalty, and then from that dribble through. Torres couldn't make the most of either.
Docker swerving away from Davila. Here come the Mariners, just relentless. Torres this time couldn't pick out the top corner. They're just putting their foot to the floor. This is a side who played on Thursday night as well, up against a side who hasn't played since last Friday.
Yeah, no, they're really, it's this momentum is incredible. It's fascinating to watch. Mariners fans get to get behind the team and ride the wave for as long as it's going to go. It won't go forever. And this is not wishing the end of it at all, but it's just a fact of life. They're just in this sweet spot at the moment. Things are happening. They're working incredibly hard. Don't take anything away from the inputs, the coaching input, the player commitment, the work they're doing. They've got this incredible thing called momentum going now.
Uzcock. Adamson. Could be a little tricky here for Vukovic, but up above Germain. And sometimes as a fan, your team is doing well. Sometimes you can get a little bit blasé, but the times like these are the moments to enjoy, because, as you said, halves doesn't last forever, and Mariners fans know that all too well. After the glory years at the start of their A-League existence, and then the dark days, and now the sunshine has returned once more for the Central Coast.
There's the matchup you were looking for. Germain, Harrison Steele. Nothing doing there, Ben. You can relax.
A little bit of shoulder contact, but they were not continuing with it at all. No bitterness at all. 5 minutes of additional time.
To score 3, to get something out of the game for Macarthur, you can't really see it, but it's been, by their otherwise good standards, a flaccid performance from the Bulls.
Do you write it off, or is it a concern?
No, they'll bounce back from this. They've got too good a season foundation established, but they've got to work at it. It won't just come for them.
Davila, comfortable for Danny Vukovic, so just over 4 minutes for him to make it 100 clean sheets in the A-League. Mariners, Wellington, Perth, Victory, Sydney, the clubs he's played with. He's also the only goalkeeper to have scored in the A-League. The penalty spot for Wellington. Maybe Macarthur about to burst his bubble here. Paul dumps the boot through it. Frustrating performance this for the Bulls at the best of times, Harps, but especially on this day where they've got a number of young fans from local clubs in the house. They would have wanted to put on a better show for them.
Yeah, but you know, their position on the table, they want to advance. That's the #1 priority. Motivators to help you achieve that. Well, the Mariners stole the cup dream from you last time they were here, so you'd want to put them back in their box. But it's just been really flat. None of those particular little targets have been enough for the team to rouse themselves to any great heights today. And the way the Mariners are at the moment, you've got to be at or close to your best to have a realistic chance.
Docker and Ballard. So Odisha Thursday night for the Mariners, and then the international break, and then Sydney FC. Wow. Oh, I'm excited about that match already, Harps. Mariners, Sydney FC after the international break. It's been an absolute cracker, Allianz Stadium. You do not want to miss that one. Get the popcorn out, enjoy, because that is going to be a heavyweight battle against the Sky Blues side, who are humming at the moment. Rose, Davila. Silva let it run on. Adamson drives it back across just behind Lockie Rose. And harmless in the end.
A nice low from Danny De Silva. That was going to be very difficult for Lockie Rose to do anything with. Clearly Adamson really gave it a whack.
He needed Riley McGree, next level. A bright spot this for Macarthur, that Danny De Silva has come back onto the field for the first time since December. Now they can build some more minutes into towards the back end of the season. Caltech's clearance, well, it was rather awkward in the end, and Jed Drew not able to keep it from crossing the line. And Davila is questioning the decision. He thinks it should have been a corner. So too Kieran Backus. In the end, it will matter little to the result. We're in the final minute of stoppage time. It's 3-0 to the Mariners. I don't think a late corner is going to have too much of an impact.
No, I agree with the Macarthur players. It was very clearly a deflection, and the ball had gone out then before Jed Drew could get to it, but it is a moot point because this one's done. It's another 3 for the Mariners. Most wins in the comp, best goal difference, scored the most.
Dan Hall closing the space on Jed Drew. This time it will be a corner for the Bulls. So the Mariners, they've got the 3 points sealed up. Can they seal a 100th clean sheet here for Danny Vukovic in goals? Drew whips it. Vukovic punches it away. De Silva with the volley. It was swerving too. It was a tester to just make sure. And he saw it all the way. And the Mariners go to the top of the A-League. They might be the champions, but it's still an incredible turnaround after they lost their first 4 league matches. And after match day 20, they are top of the pile. They have dismantled Macarthur here with their ruthless efficiency. 4 straight league wins, 4 straight clean sheets. It just does not get any better for the players and the fans from the Central Coast. Danny Vukovic gets his 100th clean sheet at Campbelltown Stadium as it finishes Macarthur 0, Central Coast Mariners 3. And they are going to be hard to track down, the Mariners. It's them up against Wellington, it would seem now, in that race for the premiership, because the gap is slightly widened to the sides chasing with that win against Macarthur. And Danny Vukovic, there you can see 100 clean sheets. He becomes the first goalkeeper in A-League history to a century of clean sheets. He's also got some more history, the only goalkeeper to score in the A-League. He just keeps adding some more numbers to that impressive resume. There's the 3-2-1, no surprises. Josh Nisbet leading the way. Brian Kaltak, a pillar of strength at the back, and Max Ballard as well. Let's get some reaction with Glenn.
Yeah, here he is, the player of the match, Josh Nisbet. Nizzy, you can't stop scoring 2 in 2 weeks. We'll get to that in just a moment, but congratulations on the victory. It was hard fought, particularly in the second half. You were down on troops. You're playing on, the continent as well. How proud are you of this team?
Yeah, look, results went our way this week, and we knew that top position was up for grabs. And yeah, thankfully we went out and performed and got the result. And yeah, second half was hard, but yeah, we dug in and got the 3 points.
Let's talk about the goal. You must have had a sense of deja vu. It was almost exactly the same as last week. So you're going to start asking for the number 9 jersey?
Nah, not at all. Look, if you saw a few weeks before that, it wasn't the greatest. I just saw the opportunity and took it, and yeah, thankfully went in.
But Jacko has pushed you forward, obviously, this season. I assume you've been working on your finishing at training. You're feeling more confident in front of goal?
Yeah, it's just more confidence, exactly right. Like, I know I can hit them. It's just about finding the groove and finding the back of the net, and hopefully I can keep doing that.
Is it getting harder to maintain the rage over 2 competitions? It's another big trip this week and maybe some injury concerns, or is there just that fire that continues to burn in the squad?
No, look, we all love playing footy. We rather play matches than training sessions. So look, we're sort of minimising the amount of training we're doing and performing on game day, and we're all happy.
All right, off to India tomorrow. Best of luck for the trip, and congratulations on the win.
Appreciate it. And a shout out to Brian's family, my sister. It's her birthday today, and Brian's family, his mother passed away, so just sending my condolences to him and his family. So thank you.
Good on you, Nizzy. Close-knit group here. Well done, mate.
Thank you.
Classy, as always, Josh Nisbet. What a player, what a person as well, Harps. And we chatted about 2 weeks ago the victory incident, which he mentioned there, where he had that miss, and just takes you into his mindset that he goes away from that He goes, what can I learn? What can I work on? Scores 2 goals in the last 2 games.
Well, this is Josh's story to tell, and we're being very presumptuous. But to get where he's got, given the hurdles that were placed in front of him, because of his stature, physical stature, and the fact that for a lot of people in the game, that just means that you can't be a footballer. He's learnt a lot of resilience, I'm presuming. I can't wait for the day when he decides to tell his story. And so missing a couple of goals where he would do better, and he's showing now he can do better, in an A-League match is nothing compared to those personal tribulations over many years. As a teenager, probably full of self-doubt like most teenagers, but he's knuckled through it with belief and commitment. And he's now the leading light in the top team in the country, and good on him.
Yeah, and the stories that I have read about him, resilience personified. He has worked so hard for everything that he's got out of this great game. All right, let's get some more reaction with Glenn.
Thank you very much, Ben. Got Mark Jackson, the Central Coast Mariners coach, with me. Mark, you must be delighted with the way this team just keeps on keeping on.
Yeah, I know what we've got in the group, and we've got a group of fantastic lads and very, very good players as well. So, yeah, we're pleased with how we're going. We challenged the boys today to keep this run going, particularly coming to Macarthur, which sit below us in the table as well. So we knew it was a massive game. We knew there was a little bit of an opening for us, but we would just want to focus on winning games and performing how we want to perform. So, yeah, we're really pleased.
You scored too early, and that possibly took a little bit of pressure off, but then there were some injury concerns as well. Jacob Farrell, Ronald Barsalus went off at half-time, and then you had to replace Alu Quol pretty quickly as well. How does that affect your thinking, given that you are trying to manage a squad across 2 competitions?
Yeah, Faz, we're not sure what it is yet. Hopefully it's not too bad, because he could get through to half-time, but we didn't want to take any risks. Ronald was just gassed a little bit because he's not played a lot of football, and he put in a fantastic effort in the first half, we thought, and you know, he's on a yellow card as well, so we protect our players a little bit, but we know we've got strength from the bench. You know, Paulie going into the left-back position as well, unusual for him, but you know, he said straight away, yeah, I can do that, no problem. So that's what we want, versatile players who are ready to come and contribute to the team and help get the 3 points, so we had that today. Leading
2-0, Macarthur came out well in the second half. How pleased were you with it, the way your team put it to bed with that third goal, perhaps a little against the run of play?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic counter-attack, you know, fantastic high level, and the composure for the finish at the end is what we've been talking about, so yeah, delighted for that. And then, you know, credit to Macarthur to come out and they put us under some pressure, but the boys showed a different side to the game as well. You know, first half probably controlled the game with our play, but we dug in the second half and we showed a bit of grit and fight and determination to keep that clean sheet, and you know, that's pleasing to see as well.
And quickly, an important clean sheet as well.
Massive history maker for Danny Vukovic today, so delighted for him. You know, he made history in the A-League with his clean sheet, so fantastic for him. And like I said, we always celebrate our goals together, and everybody contributes to scoring, everybody contributes to defending as well, but what a milestone for him.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks to Mark Jackson. Thank you, Glenn Lauder. We'll be back to tie a bow on this one. The Mariners, top of the table after a dominant 3-0 win at Campbelltown.
Millie, I appreciate your time. You went down early, 2 goals. What was your overriding thoughts, particularly of that first half? How did you think your team came out today?
Yeah, very slow today. You know, I thought the Mariners were the hungrier team, you know, and credit to them. They played a great match, and, you know, I think they deserved the 3 points.
At half-time, not sure what you said, but were you happier with the way the team started the second half? And then how much was that a killer blow when the Mariners scored, perhaps against the run of play?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to come out and change things, you know, put more effort in and compete a lot more, you know, and I thought we did that, but yeah, the early goal was a killer blow, and then it was going to be a difficult match after that.
What do you put the flatness down to? I mean, you had a bit of a break, you played last Friday night. Can you put your finger on it?
I honestly can't, and maybe I have to take a responsibility. Maybe the training week and the way we approach things could have been different, but in the end, we played against a very good team. Last year's winners. They're in probably the most informed team this season. So, you have to give credit when credit's due, and we've still got a lot more to play for, and we're looking forward to next week.
Was there much said about the ladder, because you could have gone within 2 points of the Mariners today?
Yeah, we obviously look at that sort of stuff, but it means nothing if you don't perform and you don't get those points when they're there, So, like I said, though, we've still got a lot to play for. We've got to travel away to Brisbane next week, which won't be an easy match, but a lot to play for, and we still want to, finish as high as possible.
Thanks, Mille.
Thank you. Cheers.
Geordie passed with his very first international goal. Here's Jackson Irvine. It's there for Australia. Jackson Irvine. Goodwin. Craig Goodwin on the volley.
The World Cup qualifiers coming up after the next round of the A-League, the final round before the international break, and the Mariners, they have played their final match before the international window opens up, and they are sitting top of the table